Welcome in everyone to another live post-game edition of 410 Sports Talk. I'm Glenn Martin here with my coach James Haskell. And this episode, we are going to celebrate the Ravens' 17-9 win over the Atlanta Falcons, bringing their record to 10 wins to just 5 losses. Jimbo, I know you were out there today, and it was a cold one. So how you feeling after that win?
Dude, I'm glad to be back in the car, but I tell you what, it was one of my most fun games I've ever been to because every single positive offensive play was an absolute party. An absolute celebration. It was like every time there's a completed pass, it was like at a high school football game where it's equivalent to a touchdown. I mean, it was just amazing to watch. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, man, I mean, it was we got a lot to get into, of course. There's a lot of good, a lot of bad. DK mentioned this in our pregame. The Greg Roman hate was real. You could hear it from everyone from top to bottom. But I got to say, dude, the bank was not very loud today. But shout out to all there was people, like, it wasn't, it was pretty dead. But I tell you what, shout out to all the people that made it out there because it was a cold one, man. Goodness gracious. I think that was the coldest game in M&T Bank history is what I heard.
It was, yeah. Yep, kicked off with a wind chill, making it feel like 2 degrees, I believe, at kickoff. So, yeah. Shout out to all you fans who braved it. Admittedly, I'll say it. I had opportunities to go to this game, and I tapped out. I couldn't do it. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to go out there and stand in the freezing cold on Christmas Eve. So I'll admit it here. I was one who could have gone and chose not to. But shout out to Jimbo. Shout out to DK. My brother Bobby was in the building, also amongst many others.
I'm sure Bobby was staying warm.
You know, Bobby, yeah, he can stay warm. There's no doubt about it. But let's get into this game. The Ravens win 17-9 in a game where I think, you know, in some ways you get a pass as far as, you know, the explosive offensive plays. I think no matter who you are, you get a bit of a pass in weather conditions like these. But you know, just what were your kind of thoughts on the much criticized Ravens passing attack? I mean, going into this game, there was not a lot of optimism surrounding that part of the Ravens team, but Tyler Huntley goes 9 for 17, 115 yards, has the touchdown, an impressive catch by Demarcus Robinson. What were your thoughts on the Ravens passing attack in general, and then Tyler Huntley's performance?
Yeah, first of all, can I just say shout out to Tyler Huntley? He's now 2-1 this year.
Yeah, buddy.
I mean, look, he's 2-1, 1-1 in division. I think he's holding up his end of the bargain as far as being a backup, serviceable quarterback in the NFL. Like, there's really not too much more you can ask for from a guy who's been put in a situation to fill in the shoes of one Lamar Jackson. So I want to say that first. But it was funny to me. What I thought of when I watched this game was Giro saying, I don't listen to any of the noise. When every time in the red zone, all he seemed to do was want to prove people wrong and pass the ball. So, you know, that kind of made me laugh. I felt like there was a lot of missed opportunities, especially in the red zone. But John heard me, Glenn. You remember my key to the game offensively? Just take the points, dude.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, didn't get crazy on 4th down.
Yeah, just take the friggin' points and stop with the aggressiveness because, you know, we're just not that offense this year. You know, my thoughts offensively were it was serviceable between the numbers, but to be honest, I mentioned this, I was keeping count. I counted 10 plays in the red zone where JK nor Gus Edwards touched the football in a rushing attempt. Yeah. There was one that I can think of where JK got the ball. Well, there was a pass attempt at JK. He didn't even, you know, get the ball. It wasn't a good pass or a good play. It was just a broken play. And JK was not happy about it. So I felt like a lot of missed opportunities in the red zone where Greg was still getting too cute, trying too hard. And I know that rushing yards are, you know, 10 times harder in the red zone. But the other thing I was shocked about, Glenn, was the lack of Gus Edwards in the red zone. Not that I don't want JK there, but neither of them really got the ball in the red zone. But you need 3-5 on the field, especially in the cold like this and the conditions. The other thing that was interesting to me, because I was there, I noticed their defense, I don't know if it was just me, and I don't know if any of you guys noticed the same thing, considerably smaller than our offensive players. Like, it just seemed like a really solid opportunity to just run the ball at them.
Yeah.
We did not seem to do it very well in the red zone. So a lot of missed opportunities is the theme for me in this game.
Yeah, well, I think Ravens appreciate to Orion for tipping me off that I sounded a little different. I was using the mic.
Oh, see, I can't hear you. I couldn't. You know what I mean? I don't got my headphones on, so
I'll blame DK.
Yeah, come on, DK.
It's all DK's fault. But I think Ravens O's Nation brings up a great point. Boys, I think it's time to celebrate. I don't know how far this team will go, but because of the Pats' loss, we've clinched a playoff spot. Today, it's just time to celebrate our playoff berth with the boys. Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to this team making the playoffs, facing a bunch of adversity this year, playing a really tough AFC division. I think you get to 10 wins with a chance to get to as many as 12. That's an impressive run for any team. So, shout out to these guys, these players for putting up with a bunch of adversity, including losing their star quarterback at the most critical part of the season. Let's just hope that he can come back and make this playoff run a little bit more exciting. It's just Quan says Greg is terrible. Just use your backs. I mean,
I can't say it any different. I mean, did you see anything different there, or were you wondering the same thing?
It had me absolutely scratching my head, Jimbo. I mean, look, Gus Edwards goes 11 carries, 99 yards. He averages 9 yards a pop. J.K. Dobbins takes a back seat to Gus, but he had 12 carries, 59 yards, nearly 5 yards a pop at 4.9. And the part that really drives me crazy is in moments where it's like, man, he's got to run it here, right? Like towards the end of the game when we needed to, kind of finish the clock out and just all we need is a couple first downs. The game's over. You get 14 yards on first down to Gus Edwards, right? He gets it out to the 16. And then you rush it one more time to Gus. You get 1 yard, but then throw on second and third down. Literally all at that point you had to do was run the ball, consume the clock, or force a timeout and kick the ball away. But instead, you leave them extra time by throwing the ball. It makes zero sense to me.
Yeah, because against a playoff opponent, we get bit in the butt for that. Like we didn't today, but certainly that'll bite us in the butt. Not only were those passing attempts, correct me if I'm wrong, Glenn, but both of them, I know that Deshaun Jackson was, but I believe both of those were near the sideline where even if you catch it, you're not running the clock.
No, exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I didn't get that at all. Hey, Glenn, I have to go see a man about a horse.
Gotcha.
But I will be right back.
Yeah, let me get into some more of these stats then. Let's talk some more of these numbers because I thought Gus had his best day. I mean, not just from a production standpoint, but just how he looked. I thought he looked phenomenal. Why not? So DK says, why use your backup quarterback for design runs if he gets hurt? Yeah, I mean, he took a few wallops today. Yet again, we see him taking big hits. I saw a play in which his helmet was knocked clear off his head. We can't have Huntley get hurt. I mean, as much as we respect and admire, what Anthony Brown did coming in that adverse situation and getting things done, we don't want to see it again. We don't want to see him tested once again. So yeah, I agree. I mean, you're talking about in between the tackle design quarterback runs at that, in between the tackles where he's guaranteed to run into linemen or linebackers. This isn't like, you're rushing to the sideline where we're likely to go run into a corner or a safety at the worst. No, you're running right between the tackles, right? Right where the big boys are going to play. So yeah, I agree. I think it's awfully ballsy to make those calls in a situation where you're already without your leading rusher and best and number one quarterback in Lamar Jackson. Marco G says, Merry Christmas, except to G-Row. He's not very bright. Well, you know what? I still say Merry Christmas to G-Row. Everybody deserves a Merry Christmas. But, yeah, I mean, it's just the outsmarting of yourself is the part that just drives me crazy with Greg Roman. Like, I almost respect more. Like, you watch Wink Martindale in New York. You watched him here. Again today, he's faced with a situation where, it's all or nothing. It's third and long. And what does he do? He sends the house because that's what he does. That's how he builds his team. That's how his scheme is designed. He goes down with what he does best. And sometimes, it bites him in the butt. But I really wish Greg Roman would just, I mean, at the times where it's so obvious to run the ball, you think the greatest designer of the run attack would just do just that instead of trying to get too damn fancy and whipping the ball around. But yeah, Gus Edwards, 11 carries, 99 yards, was dragging ball carriers, was running through, was dragging tacklers and running through potential tacklers. J.K. Dobbins looked phenomenal once again. Through the air, got to shout out Mark Andrews for, demanding the ball is what it looked like. I know he was hot over Huntley, not giving him a chance on that play where he was scrambling to the left side, heading to that pylon in the front of the left side of the end zone. Yeah, give the guy a chance. Throw the ball to where he at least has an opportunity to go make a play. I get that Huntley is apprehensive in that scenario, and I appreciate him doing everything he can to protect the ball. I think that was a big part of the Ravens winning this game was their ability to protect the ball. But, man, give your guy a shot. But shout to Mark Andrews breaking the 35-yard mark on the first play in which he touched the ball with his 36-yard catch. Ends up with 3 catches for 45 yards. Sammy Watkins, in his first action as he returns to the Ravens, gets the 40-yard grab and then absolutely disappears. The 40-yard grab was, I believe, the first play of the game, and then he absolutely vanished. So I don't know if this is hamstring Watkins over here or just, game script or just, the fact that he's a newcomer, he didn't get any more run. But I thought that was kind of interesting that we saw him early and then not again for the rest of the game. Demarcus Robinson only has the 1 catch for 6 yards, but, man, what a grab. Goes up, goes over the defender, sticks the landing, and more importantly, gets the first receiver touchdown since week 3 here in Baltimore. Absolutely shameful it took that long, but yeah, Demarcus Robinson, where would the Ravens be without that guy being picked up a few weeks ago? So shout out to him making the play. Isaiah Likely had a shot at that touchdown on the right side. I think if Huntley gets the ball up a little bit, makes it a little easier for Isaiah. I think he pulls it down, but nonetheless, would have liked to see him pull it down regardless of how difficult the catch is. But, Isaiah doesn't have too big of a game, just 9 receptions overall for the team. So not a ton of opportunity. The story of the team on offense was really their ground game. 34 carries as a team, 184 yards. Shout out to those guys. Jimbo.
Dude, can I say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
If that would have not been a difficult grab for Isaiah Likely, usually I give these guys the benefit of the doubt. Dude, me and you could have made that catch. Come on.
It was a tough catch.
Dude, no.
It was. Look, I probably had a little bit better angle on TV. It was a tough grab. It was tough. It was cold. DK says it was cold.
It was cold. That's fair, but, man, he should have made that grab.
Yeah. Yeah, look, it hit his hands and you're paid to catch the ball. So I agree with you, but I'm saying if Huntley gets the ball up a little more, it's a much easier grab, and I think he makes it.
True. And the other thing I'll say about the passing game, I don't know if you saw this in the third quarter when we were in the red zone. Third quarter. There was one play where Tyler was scrambling. It was a third down. He ends up throwing it away on the left side of the end zone. It was improv, so Mark was racing the pylon, and he was yelling for the football.
Yeah. That's what I just got done talking about it. Yep.
And he was visibly pissed off.
Yeah, give me a chance. He wanted a chance, and I think that he should have given him the chance, but I also understand, Huntley's apprehension in the sense that he knows that turnovers are a big no-no in a game like this. You cannot give the other team opportunities, especially when you know you got 3 points in the bag. So I get why he was apprehensive, but at the same time, man, if you want to be more than just a serviceable backup, I think you try and make the plays, when the opportunity arises. I think there was an opportunity there.
Yeah, well, that's the difference between Tyler Huntley and Mitchell Trubisky.
Well, Mitchell will throw it to the other team. Yeah, that's a fact.
Because Tyler's thinking, okay, if I'm a couple inches behind,
yeah,
this ball's going for 6.
That's true. That's true. That's absolutely true, and that's a big swing. Not only are you taking points off your board, but you're putting them on theirs. That would be a big loss. Hey, also wanted to point out, we saw Andy Isabella today, right? He does exist. He's a real human being. Uh-oh. We're losing you, Jimbo. But Andy Isabella was activated from the practice squad. We saw a tackle that he made that was a phenomenal tackle. Flipped the guy over, had him land on top of his head. I hope the guy's okay. It didn't look very comfortable, but we did see him make the tackle. I think we were expecting to see him maybe a little bit more in the return game, but Justice Hill takes the kickoff return duties, and James Prochet as the takes over as the punt returner. But Andy Isabella does exist. He did make a tackle, and I guess he was up.
He's a real human.
Yeah, I guess he was up as the just in case for Justice Hill and James Prochet. Bless you there, Jimbo.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, he does exist, and we did see him, and so it's nice to see that he's not just a name on a stat sheet or a name on a depth chart. He's actually a player. We saw him out there.
Well, and I'll tell you what, it's funny because you can tell, I feel like you can tell, JK's got this same thing. You can tell when a guy's got rocket fuel in his feet. And like, yeah, he didn't register a single stat unless I missed something.
Well, he had that tackle.
Oh, okay, but I mean like an offensive stat.
Yeah.
But the dude, you can tell if he gets an opportunity to touch the football, at the very least, he's got the wheels.
There you go.
So I'm interested to see if he becomes a factor later on.
Yeah.
Later on, like it always in late in the season. But I mean, like in these next few games, don't be surprised if Andy makes a big critical play for us on a third down on one of these sweeps that Lamar or Tyler end up giving. You know what I mean? Something, these, the jet sweep or, something. I mean, I think he's going to break one that it'll be a little bit of a coming out party for one Andy Isabella. Don't be surprised, Glenn.
Wow. Well, I hope if they're counting on Isabella in a big time situation, then I'm a little nervous. But let's hope we catch him off guard. I wouldn't be surprised to see that.
Well, when you start a game with James Prochet as your most tenured receiver,
oof. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he. Oh man, DK, he is totally off the Roman bandwagon.
Dude,
I see.
It's Glenn. I tell you what, man, the difference between the confidence that he has either in himself or the team in the red zone between now and the last few years is so obvious in his play calling that it shocks me.
It's weird that the team, it is weird that the team, even when given the opportunity to run the ball in the red zone, it is odd that they run it so well between the 20s and seemingly struggle once they get in there tight. I can't understand why that would be the case because it's not like there's a ton of threat of over-the-top throws no matter where the Ravens are positioned. Even, so it's, I get, typically when the field shrinks in the red zone, it makes it, smaller field. So the opportunity to load the box becomes greater. But teams load the box against the Ravens regardless of position on the field. So it is odd that they have struggles in the red zone when given the opportunity to run the ball. That part I don't really understand. But Jimbo, I want to switch gears a little, talk a little bit of defense. I picked Roquan to be my defensive breakout player. He totals 15 tackles today, Jimbo. I mean, he talked about liking playing in this weather. Him and Pat Queen go 15 tackles and 9 tackles in the middle, go 1 and 2. I mean, again, another fantastic performance by those two guys.
Yeah, I mean, certainly impressive. It was funny to me because there was a few plays where I felt like, so do you remember the play in the backfield that DQ missed the tackle and then the guy was able to turn the corner? It was a pretty big play. He was able to convert on first down. Anyway, PK ended up at his heels and missed the tackle. All that being said, there was a few plays. I thought they both played excellent today. Roquan really showed out. He was flying all over the place. He was playing physical. The next play after that I was previously mentioning, they ran an identical play to the left, and Roquan just absolutely demolished the guy. This is how you do it. Like, this is how you get it done. I thought it was really cool. And then the other play where he stood up the running back on a 3rd and short, it was early in the game, just smacked him, man. Like, I love seeing that because you and I have talked about their position has to be a heat, right? Like, you can't tackle like a DB. You can't go after you need to want the contact. You need to want the physicality. Like he talked about, he turns into a predator. He absolutely did that today. And it's comforting. It's like a warm blanket to have a guy in the middle of the linebacking core again, playing the middle of the field that seeks out physicality again.
Yes.
Because no knock on PQ, who's been playing well, but certainly by the way he plays, does not love the tackling part of the job.
Well, I will say that since Roquan, I don't see those same issues since Roquan. I don't know if it's just the inspiration of having him next to him or the feeling the pressure of the competition. But I think he's been playing very physical since the addition, and I loved seeing it today. He had a big tackle today where he shot the hole and tackled the ball carrier for the loss. man, I've been super impressed by both those guys, but certainly Roquan Smith is as advertised, and it's impressive to watch him get out there and run around. I thought the combination of Brandon Stevens and Marlon Humphrey on the back end played really, really well. Brandon Stevens, got to give him credit, man. He played his butt off for being a guy that everyone knew was going to get picked on. He ends up with a half sack today, a QB hit. He has 5 tackles on the day. I thought he battled out there. Yeah,
and no penalties.
Exactly. And I really thought there was a play where Ritter grossly underthrew a receiver running down the right side with Brandon Stevens chasing. He threw it so poorly that there was just no way there was going to be a call or a play on the ball. And I just was thinking, man, if he threw a decent ball there, chances are Brandon Stevens probably going to get tied up. So I think the Ravens were fortunate there. But yeah, shout out to Brandon. Shout out to the whole secondary. I mean, yeah, they're playing Ritter, and this isn't a great passing team. And again, London's their only pass catcher. It's like, how the hell is this guy still? But he made some pretty tough grabs out there. But other than that, shout out to these guys holding this team down to what they did. It's impressive. I don't care the conditions.
Hey, and yeah, no, absolutely. The other thing my favorite play from the secondary today was when the running back Algier decided he got the ball on the left side, had nothing but Marlon in front of him, and look, he almost paused for a second, looked at him, and was like, "All right, I'm not going out of bounds. I'm coming straight for you." Mm-hmm. And Marlon was like, "All right, let's do it." And ended up making the tackle. It was a physical play. You can kind of tell both of them took a second to get up. But Marlon doesn't shy away from any of that, man. I love that because it really sets a tone for your team.
No doubt. Absolutely. If you're a leader on the team, you got to set the tone first and foremost by how you perform. It's not about how, you can talk all you want, but if you're not backing it up, guys ain't going to listen. Pay the Bills says, Merry Christmas from the Northwest. All I want for Christmas is a new OC. Team was built to bully ball, and they don't want to bully ball when it's time to run. I'm here for the Giro slander. I was wrong.
Hey, pay the bills. I was wrong too, dude. I was wrong too, man. I tell you what, I was freaking wrong. But it takes an adult to admit when they were wrong.
I wish we could somehow capture and hang on to some of what we learned from him. And I guess we could, but man, it's just because I love the run scheme. I just scratch my head at when he outsmarts himself and goes contrary to the most obvious run call and decides to throw it. And then obviously the lack of passing, it just doesn't look like a cohesive unit together running. It looks like two different. It's like a whole different unit comes on to run the ball, and then a whole different unit comes on with different coaches comes on to throw the ball. That part obviously drives me crazy.
If any of you guys know Parks and Rec, there's an episode where she goes on to where Leslie Knope goes onto the local public radio, and they play 2 different jazz groups over one another on the radio as an outro because they did studies that show that their viewers or their listeners like jazz music. It sounds terrible. One has nothing to do with the other. Like, why does our run game and our pass game look like 2 different jazz groups playing at the same time? Like, have some cohesion here.
And one's really good and the other one's not so good.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either. But the good news is, Jimbo, just overall, this defense,
so good.
I mean, it's really, really good. Outside of friendly fire, which it's like, man, I wish we could cut down on hurting our own guys. But Roquan, that being the hammer that he is when he gets there, it can sometimes be to the detriment of his teammates because I know he put a pretty good lick on Kyle Hamilton today. Now he came back, so I think he's ultimately going to be fine. Yeah. But I mean, the defense overall, Jimbo, it looks really, really tough. And I was worried with Marcus Peters out in the back end and Calais Campbell out up front. I'm thinking, man, these guys might come in, they might have some success, and they did have some success on the ground. But you hold a team like Atlanta to 33 carries, only 115 yards in a game where it's freezing cold and guys don't necessarily want to hit. That's pretty damn impressive against a team like this.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I can't disagree with you. There was a lot of good here defensively. And yeah, the ability to, I mean, just simply execute at a high level. How many penalties did we have defensively?
There wasn't a lot
Do we
of
have any?
penalties overall for the game. I know we had at least one that came. It was where is it here? Penalties. We had a total of one penalty for 6 yards.
Right. And I also thought that Brent Urban played well. I thought Travis Jones really stepped up. There's a few plays, Glenn, where he absolutely took the life out of the running back, moving laterally, which is, the dude just crumpled like a bear in a Dixie cup. Like, it was just that. I mean, imagine, you know what I'm saying? It was just so bad. And so a lot of guys stepped up. Brent played well. Of course, Isaiah Mack, we had elevated. He also was, did his thing up there. So yeah, the defense is just so good. It's been so fun to watch Roquan up the accountability for everyone, the physicality for everyone. It's just crazy how residual a player like that impact can be on a team. Because it changes everything. I mean, he was in the huddle along with a few other guys, just jamming to try and stay warm. Even Meta BK, I thought, was playing really physical football. So that was a lot of fun as well. Yeah, I mean, nothing bad to say here about the defense. I wish they had got their hands on the ball. I felt like maybe there was a couple they could have got their hands on. Yeah. The early one that Kyle Hamilton poked away, I feel like next year he runs through that and takes it to the house because he was early. He was too early. But he's a rookie, so, it is what it is. But like you said, I also thought PQ did well in coverage, which he's really improved upon. And I like to credit Roquan for that one as well.
It certainly looks like something's it looks like a different guy out there.
Yeah.
Since that trade. Now, did you get, is this something where this is Justin Tucker kicking the ball too low? What's your thoughts on back-to-back weeks? They get a field goal blocked. Is this a protection issue, a Tucker issue? What's going on here?
It's hard to tell, man, because it was so windy that I can get the want to kick it low. You don't want that thing being lofty.
Yeah.
And it did look like it had a low trajectory, but I also don't, dude, the rules on blocking guys up front in field goals is so goofy now that, like, all you can do is just get pummeled.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
So, like, I wish I had a better answer for you that was more exact, but I think it was just a mixture of the wind causing Justin to want to hit it super low, and the guys not be able to get it. So, hey, you got to give me 30 seconds again.
Yeah, I got you. That's cool. Yeah, so, I guess I'm not concerned with Justin Tucker, but I do think it's surprising to see him get, the performance last week with the wind and all that. I think you can kind of give him a pass, but then this week you get another block. Doesn't hurt him in the long run, but, man, 3 points would have been nice to see on the board. Then that would have made that, the last stretch of the game a lot less stressful. But ultimately, not concerned with Justin Tucker. More so concerned, is this a protection issue? Is this like something going on up front? Is the reason why guys are getting up there and getting their hands up and able to knock the ball down? As I said earlier, Drake London, 7 for 96. Man, made some tough grabs out there. Like, man, some real tough grabs where I think two of his catches were first initially called incomplete and overturned. He had the one on the sideline where he got the elbow down. They initially called that incomplete. He ends up getting it. Then he has the catch where first of all, it was an impressive even throw. Most quarterbacks aren't even thinking to throw that ball up the seam where Marcus Williams is underneath. It barely goes over his hands. Marlon's behind him thinking it might go over Drake, and he's waiting for an interception. But Drake goes up there and grabs it and ultimately comes down with it. I thought he had a really good game. It wasn't necessarily bad coverage by the Ravens, just excellent catches and some pretty tough throws for Desmond Ridder. I thought for a rookie in that situation, that weather, I thought he played about as good as you could hope for with the lack of weapons and the weather. It was a tough situation, but I think the Ravens defense played well against a really, really tough run attack and a composed Desmond Ridder, who I thought at least when he was throwing to Drake London was making some pretty damn good throws and reads out there. So another kind of credit and feather in the cap of the defense. What's up, Jimbo? Did you have to go for a second trip, dude?
Nah,
you all right?
I had to make a stop for the family.
Got you. Okay, I got you. Picking something up. I understand.
Yeah. But look, you know what though? How many people are driving and YouTube living at the same time, bro?
That's true. Don't make us watch something we don't want to see here, Jimbo. Okay, you be safe out there.
Yeah. So excuse my lack of eye contact.
Yeah, it's okay. What the Flock says, the O problem still exists. First 2 red zone trips and no touchdown. Huntley not reading the D on end around and RPO is ridiculous. Should have been 10-0 minimum at the start. Yeah, there's no doubt that this offense is still struggling huge in the red zone. I still think it's mainly because all of a sudden you can't run the ball once you get to the red zone. I don't understand it. You run the ball so effectively everywhere else on the field, and then seemingly can't get a push and get stuffed anytime you get down near the red zone. I don't understand it.
Well, part of it, Glenn, I also like I said, one, it was lack of opportunities even in the red zone to run the ball as far as Greg's calling, but they seem to all be quarterback keepers if we're running the ball in the red zone. I don't understand that one either. Like, why can't we draw something up? Like, just like you're saying, I mean, I know that, you're kind of referencing the push more than anything, but I don't even think the opportunities have been there because anytime we run the ball, it's Tyler running the football. It's not one of our best running it.
Yeah, and to your point,
there's so much of that in the red. It seems disproportionate to everywhere else on the field. Why the emphasis on the quarterback running it in the red zone?
It's like he's just nervous to throw it, and he has no confidence to be able to throw it in there and not get it picked off. Their first time in the red zone, they get 1st and goal at the 10. They have a short pass to Mark Andrews for -3 yards. Then Huntley runs it off tackle for 3 yards. So now it's 3rd and goal at the 10. And he scrambles to the 3 for 7 yards, field goal. So, yeah, I mean, it's like you said, he's not really throwing the ball. Maybe it's a called throw, but ultimately he's running the ball. And then,
but even that first one, like you said, that was a design QB run.
Yeah, the 3 yards off tackle. Yeah, the last one wasn't.
Why not design it for Gus or for JK? Like, why Huntley? Even Lamar, I'd rather go to Gus or JK in the red zone because they're more of a physical presence. You're talking about push. Well, let's give it to the 250-pounder.
That would help. And then the second time they go in the red zone, 1st and 10 from the 15. Huntley runs it to the left for no gain. 2nd and 10. Huntley passes it to Oliver for 6 yards. 3rd and 4 at the Atlanta 9. Huntley incomplete pass. Field goal. Yeah, kind of frustrating there. I think fans were starting to get a little annoyed there. Sean Pisker says, "Evening, boy." Oh, go ahead.
Really quickly, was it just me or the pass to the right in the red zone that was on 3rd down to JK? Did you see when JK did they show this on the camera when JK took his helmet off on the sideline? How pissed off he was?
No, I didn't see.
Dude, and he happened to be up on the big screen. So angry. You could tell he was so angry that he just wasn't given an opportunity to run the rock. Like he was visibly just. I mean, he was. The what's that movie where there's the little emotions Inside Out? Isn't that?
Oh yeah, yep.
The mad guy.
Yeah.
He was trying so hard to keep from burning up. Like, gosh, he was so angry. Anyway, I just thought that was pretty interesting because, I mean, look, it's not like we're the only ones watching it. These players are feeling it too. So I thought it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, Sean says, "Evening, boys. Great win and glad we secured a spot. However, still really concerned with this team being a legit playoff contender. I know anything can happen, but I don't see us getting past the wild card round. Please convince me." Well, Lamar Jackson's still coming back. And
it comes down to how much of a difference you believe that Lamar Jackson can make or directly to the problems we're having, the effectiveness in the red zone and the bad passing game. So, that Lamar makes Mark better, the passing game overall better,
offensive line better.
I think all those things are a yes.
Yeah, I mean, he's better in every way. So hopefully he's enough to, I mean, look, he's a franchise quarterback. Those guys make a big difference when they're on the field. And let's hope that difference is enough. I think if he's healthy, I think he is. But that's the question. What type, like what percent of Lamar Jackson are we getting back when he comes back? Is this a situation where he's going to be 80%? Or is he going to be a fully healthy Lamar? That remains to be seen. But regardless, they're in the playoffs. And like Sean said in the middle there, anything can happen. Let's not just sleep on that. I think as long as Lamar's back, I have reason to be optimistic. But to further that point, later on in the drive, later on in the game, they have another red zone opportunity. 1st and goal at the Atlanta 8. They run the ball from 1st down. They get 2 yards to the 6. They throw it to Isaiah Likely, incomplete. And then that's when we finally see the touchdown. A throw to Demarcus Robinson from the 6. And it was a score. But as you can see, 2 out of the 3 plays were throws. It's great when they work, though. And in that case, it did work. So here we go. Next trip to the red zone. 1st and goal at the 9. Edwards run, then Huntley throw. Then it was a design throw, but he scrambled, and then Huntley throw on 3rd down, field goal. So I think the theme is on all these, we threw it at least 2 of the 3 plays when we got down inside of goal to go situations, and only one of those times it worked. So I still like to see more running when you get down that close, point blank.
Yeah, like the fans are going to get mad anymore if it's 3rd and 7 in the red zone and we run the football. I'm not asking for that situation, but what I'm saying is that that to be more effective than whatever we're doing now. Like, at what point, how much worse can it get? Now, I say that hoping that it doesn't get any worse because I know that it can, but it can't get much worse.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like if you're so good at running the ball, why not do it when you're at the 3-yard line? Nick Abrams says, who should replace Giro? That's the question. Who should replace him? I think there's a lot of people on the wish list out there, but some of which are completely unrealistic. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a guy that the Ravens are going to have to find that maybe we don't know about, like a young up-and-coming offensive mind on somebody else's staff. Is probably who it's going to be. Think about who John Harbaugh was before he was hired here. It's going to be, think about who Mike McDonald was before he was hired here. He was a relative nobody. It'll probably be a guy we're not that familiar with. And let's hope that they make a good hire. They got a pretty good track record on making good hires, so I expect them to do really well. They know it's important. Especially if they continue to have Lamar as their franchise quarterback, they got to have him in mind. I'm sure they would have him involved in the conversations, I would hope, to some degree. But yeah, I don't know exactly who they, do you have a name, Jimbo?
Only one that is just simply skeptical, right? And it'll be Sean Payton, but Sean Payton ain't coming here.
He already said to have a staff put together, including Vic Fangio as his DC.
Yeah, so that's a no.
Yeah, that's a no.
But no.
Unless you get rid of Harbs.
Right. Yeah, that would be a tough.
And the whole staff, yeah.
It simply ain't happening. So, that would be a shock. So I know I guess we talked about this. Kubiak's son, Clint. Yeah, Clint Kubiak could be a fun one. I don't know a ton about him other than I like the way his dad called plays. So I wouldn't be mad at that. But I'm interested to see how that all turns out.
But the good thing is, nonetheless, they're in the playoffs. They're in the dance. No matter what happens, they're in the dance.
Yeah, like literally anyone on the
Oh my goodness. DK is totally done with Greg Roman.
Well, let's wait until Lamar comes back.
Incredibly done. Wow.
Yeah. Look, Greg's done after this year, but as far as fixing things this year, let's wait till Lamar comes back. Now, my only concern is I heard a doctor talking about Lamar's injury on the radio, and he said he thinks it's a 4 to 6 week injury.
What week are we in now?
This is the 3rd week.
Well, okay. We're talking he'll still be back for the playoffs, right?
Yeah, for sure. So anyway, yeah, I just was like, dang, that's tough. So it'll be interesting to see how important it is for the Ravens to win the division in comparison to just being okay with clinching a playoff spot.
Yeah, what the flock says, Peyton to OC in 23, put pressure on Harbs to win. Yeah, Peyton ain't going nowhere to be an OC. He's going to have so many head coaching opportunities. There's no reason for him to be an OC. I think it's fun to think about, but if he's in Baltimore, Harbs won't be here. Yeah. So it's one or the other, and I'm sure Peyton's going to have plenty of suitors knocking at his door. And if I'm the Colts, I'm all over Sean Payton, begging him to come there. Of course, if I'm Sean Payton, I'm going, well, who do you got at quarterback?
Yeah.
Ugh. But if I'm Sean Payton, I'm going to have a lot of suitors, and I'm going to pick the one that's best, for me if I was Sean Payton.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, I think the good thing, it's another one of those games where, like, the mood in the comments outside of a couple people almost feels like they lost, which is
I'm just happy we won. It was a great team win. A win is a win in the NFL. Like you said, we clinched a playoff spot. Glenn, why don't we do this really quickly? It's Christmas Eve, so let's get back to hang out with our families. But let's just quickly shout out our winner, not for the viewer competition, but for our internal competition. And then of course we'll get to our viewer competition later on, and we'll be back, of course, to break down the rest of this game as things as the week unfolds.
Yeah, let's get into it. So this week's competition came down to the smallest of margins. I mean, the tiebreakers came into full effect, and this week's winner, without further ado, is Mr. DK. Again, had to add the again in there. Couldn't have just left it at DK. Had to add again. Man, I mean, I got to give him credit, though. He was off by 1 yard on the closest
incredible.
to the pin. Like, I was only off by, 14? You were off by 11. DK won because he was off by just 1. So, I mean, talking about the closest of margins, I mean, it came down to the yard closest to the pin yardage and was down to, under 15 difference. So, yeah, shout out to DK getting the win in a tight matchup. I'm coming for you, DK. Coming for you. And by the way, I still have the most accurate picks and best percentage.
There we go.
Just want to put that out there.
The most useless.
Best team doesn't always win. Just want to put that out there.
Yeah. Apparently, the best team normally loses, is what you're saying.
I'm not saying that, but I can't disagree with it. But yeah, seriously, this was a great win. Shout out to everybody.
Shout out to the Ravens for making the playoffs, man. Yeah,
absolutely. But Christmas time, I want to say thank you to all who continue to watch and support our show. This is awesome. Tanja Bowman's in for every single event. Amber Alert as well. Tim, I know you guys are button heads in the comment, but I appreciate all you guys. Doug, thanks for always being out there with us.
Yep.
Let's see, Sharon, Sean Pisker, Nana Raves, Don C, some of the legends. What the Flock, O's, Ravens, O's Nation's always in here. Jeremiah, appreciate you coming in. Troy's been here from the beginning. Kenny. I mean, a lot of these people have been here from the beginning, so I just want to say Merry Christmas to everyone. I hope you guys have an incredible holiday. What the Flock says, Peyton says one quarterback he'd want to work with is Lamar Jackson. I do remember that quote. That's a very good point. Let me ask you this, Jimbo. If Sean Payton comes to Steve Bisciotti behind the back channels and says, look, I want to be your coach. I want to bring my staff. I want to coach Lamar Jackson. I want to win a Super Bowl. What does he say to him?
Hey, John, get out of here.
What?
No, I don't know if it's that simple, but it'd be hard for me to say no because of how bad the offense has looked. And you know what you got in Lamar Jackson. You got to get – look, I think I would say yes at the end of the day. This is why. What's your most expensive asset?
Your QB.
You got to get the most out of that asset, right?
Yeah.
And so if you want a return on investment on number 8, you might want to get Sean Payton. I don't know. I mean,
well, you want a return of investment on the whole team, right?
Yeah, you want to win football games.
And I think John gets that return.
Yeah, I mean, you want to win. You want to win. So, but I don't know. I haven't said this for a long time, but I wouldn't be mad at a change.
Wow.
I wouldn't be mad.
He's ready to throw out John now. Damn, Jamel.
It would be hard to see John go, but I wouldn't be mad at
let's remind everyone, he's only won one Super Bowl, Sean Payton, and he had Drew Brees.
Yeah.
It's not like he won a whole bunch of Super Bowls. How many's John got? How many Sean got?
Yeah, and John did it with Joe Flacco.
I mean, he did it in the AFC North, too.
Yeah, you are wrong. You are wrong.
NFC South before Brady got there. Ugh.
Yeah.
Not as daunting as the AFC North. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Well, look, if John hangs around, he's got to have he's going to hang around. Like, this is all.
I like John.
He's going to hang
I like
around
John.
either way.
I like the thought of Sean Payton leading this offense, but John's my guy.
Yeah, it's fair, but look, you got to go down with your staff, or you got to cut them loose, right? Like,
oh, he's cutting somebody loose. There's somebody getting trimmed right off the side.
Yeah, so you got to dig deep and find somebody that's gonna help this offense, get as much as they can out of it. I mean, it's just that simple. Because if you can't find the guy, then what good are you as the head coach?
Yeah, well, he's done it before. Look, he got the most out of this offense in 19. He led look, this offense was the greatest it's ever been in franchise history. So he's done it before. Let's hope he can do it again. Sean Pisker says, thanks, boys, for everything you do. So glad I found you guys. Hey, we're glad you found us too, Sean. This has been, there's one guy, few people we can always count on. You're certainly one of them. So we appreciate your continued support. Asmodeus says, McChicken Christmas. Man, I got to get back to McDonald's, man. It's been a long time, Jimbo.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know what you're missing.
One day, me and you, 410 Sports Talk, live event, sit down. No, you're not going to eat that. I'll do it.
No. You got to take one for the team?
I'll do it for the squad, dude. I'll do it. Make sure I'm off the next day. But I'll do it. Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, that's it for us tonight. This was a fun one. We'll be back soon. Enjoy your Christmas, everybody. I hope it goes awesome, and I hope to everybody that they're not struggling with this cold. If it's a tough time. If you're having issues with shelter and stuff, man. I just hope everybody is safe during this cold time. Be safe out there.
Yep. Talk to you guys soon.